Yo my dudes, what is up? I'm back and today I've got an exciting recipe to share with you guys. I am making some stuffed grape leaves. So they go by a couple different names. Dolmas, dolmadas are some common ones. These are a common Middle Eastern dish, but I'm gonna do a bunch of wild foods, some kind of more Midwestern flavors. I've got dill, cilantro, coriander, cumin, some carrot tops from my garden, lots of parsley, onions, garlic, some preserved lemon, rice, and some potato starch. It's all gonna get wrapped up into a grape leaf that I had lacto fermenting, and then I'm gonna cook them in a little bit of a preserved lemon brine and some water, and these will be served for 3 dinners that I have this week. And I just want to empower you guys to do some of your own dolmadas. And check this out, dude. We got the 2-camera setup. Boom, boom, boom. What's up? Let's get into it. I've got a really good feeling that you guys are gonna dig this just as much as I do. In my hot pan, I'm starting off with lots of good olive oil. I'm gonna be sweating some onions and garlic, both from my garden. Cooking off a bunch of these super beautiful indigo milk caps. They've got a beautiful vibrant color. When you cut them, the inside is even more vibrant, and they bleed a crazy colored blue, my dudes. Olive oil's getting nice and warm. I'm dropping in 2 sweet onions and some sliced garlic cloves. And get these sweating and doing their thing. This is gonna be a pretty massive batch. I'm making close to 100. I hope I have enough grape leaves, but I'm serving about, what is it? Let's see, 30 people this week, and I'm kind of shooting for 3 per person, so we'll see how that goes. I'm gonna be rolling all day, my dudes. I'm gonna hit these onions and garlic with a little ram salt. This salt will help pull out that moisture and help these cook down a little faster. All right, these have cooked down for a little bit. I'm gonna add my chopped up indigo milk caps. You could totally use rehydrated dry mushrooms. Any fresh edible mushroom that you're digging will work. I just chose these because I found them out in the woods, and you know, I let the woods inspire my cuisine. Normally I wouldn't add this much to my pan, but since these are gonna get cooked in broth after all of this sauteing, I'm just getting a good cook on them, kind of marry some of those flavors, and then they'll continue to cook once they're all wrapped up in the dolmadas. You really want to dice up all your ingredients really nice and small, because once these are rolled, you don't want it super chunky. The smaller they are, the easier they will be to roll, and you will get an easier cut when they're done cooking, and they just won't be all chunky and clumpy. So nice fine dice on everything will be key for these. I've got 2 cups of rice here that's been soaking for about an hour. I'm going to strain this water off. This is going to go into my mix with everything else. The pre-soak on the rice will just help everything kind of, it'll help the rice cook quicker when we're actually boiling the dolmadas, so you can soak it for about an hour beforehand. I haven't tried doing it without soaking them, but I imagine it would just take longer for all that water to absorb into the rice. So oh, the aroma coming off of this is awesome. While this is cooking down, I'm going to add my other ingredients into my big bowl. So in here is some chopped dill, chopped parsley from my garden, and then blanched and chopped up carrot tops from my garden as well. So any kind of blanched green will work really well in here. It's good to blanch it beforehand to kind of shrink its size so you can get more of that ingredient packed in here. But carrot tops are totally abundant, and you might as well use them. They have tons of great flavor. They're super aromatic. Add a nice vegetal carroty flavor to your dolmas or whatever you're cooking with, so save your carrot tops. I've also got some wild bergamot here. This is dried. I'm going to do a big handful of this and just kind of crunch it up with my hands. This is dried and powdered cumin and coriander seed. I've got some finely diced preserved lemon, that's going in as well. My 2 cups of soaked rice. a cup and a half of potato starch. You could use rice flour. You could use normal flour here. This is a nice binder to help keep everything together. These are some dried service berries from this year. I'm gonna add about a half cup in here. I didn't add these in my last recipe, but I thought like a nice kind of chewy fruit flavor in there would be really good. So I'm adding them this time. This is a really fun recipe that you can play around with because so much of it is interchangeable. You can totally add whatever ingredients, greens, mushrooms that you have. So I'm gonna leave a recipe, but go crazy, dude. Get inspired. You know, you don't have to use the same mushrooms I do. If you want to use red onion, if you don't want to use garlic, if you don't want to use a certain spice, you choose, dude. Okay? In with all my mushrooms, onions, and garlic. Alright, now I'm going to season this heavily with ramp salt. I've got like almost a gallon of this stuff, so I'm gonna go pretty liberally because these will be served cold and your palate actually perceives salt less when things are cold. So it might seem salty when it's hot, but when it cools down, it won't be as crazy salty. Give this a good mix until everything is combined. This is gonna be served with like a herby, yogurty, olive oil enriched kind of dip. I don't really think this is gonna be enough, but we'll see. I'm gonna give it a little taste test to check for seasoning. Good, digging the flavor. Just gonna add a touch more salt. I think it's pretty good, but not quite as salty as I'd like it to be. All right, now it's time to get rolling. This will definitely take some practice, but I promise it isn't that difficult. Start with a clean surface that you're gonna roll on. We're gonna do one grape leaf, take about a tablespoon of filling, and then I'm pulling up on the back edges until I'm over top of the mixture. Pull back to create just a little bit of tension, and then taking the edges, folding those in, and lastly, wrapping it up. All right, new technique. The one at a time was taking far too long, so I'm spreading out like 10 or 15 grape leaves, putting the filling in, and then doing the wrapping. By doing this, you're making things way more efficient. So rather than doing a leaf down with the filling, wrapping, stuffing, you're doing one task at a time. Laying a bunch of leaves down, putting a bunch of stuff in, wrapping a bunch up, putting them in the tray. So for sure, if you're making a bunch of these, save yourself some time and streamline those steps, baby. All right, so I did end up with 99. I don't know how I got so on point with the number, but I've got a mixture here in this pot of some of the preserved lemon brine, water, and maple syrup. And I'm gonna pour this over top of one of my pans, 3/4 of the way up the grape leaves, and then I'm gonna bake it in the oven at 300 degrees. Popping a lid on top and popping it in the oven at 300 degrees for 35 minutes. We'll see how it looks after that. We're looking for most of the moisture to be absorbed and the rice to be tender. So that's really how we're gonna tell whether these are ready to go or not. All right, the dolmas are out. They've cooled off a little bit. The moisture has absorbed. I ended up turning the heat up to 325 because it was taking forever. The top got a little dry, but all the moisture is absorbed. They've tightened up real nice, plumped up, the rice has. They look pretty spot on. Let's give them a taste. First thing I get is lemony. The maple syrup comes through great. It really balances out that flavor. The rice is tender, which is key for what we're looking for. And these are gonna get dipped in a cool yogurty kind of dilly yum yum sauce. And you know what? These are gonna slap, dude. I'm serving these up at 3 dinners I have this week, 2 private parties and a foraging class on Friday. I'm super stoked on these. I'm super stoked that you're here. I'm super stoked about life. I mean, Come on, dude. Go pick some grape leaves. Go make some dolmas. Dip it in a yum yum sauce, dude. Go outside. Let's go, baby. All right? Thanks for being here. And until next time, bye. Be good.